Absolutely. Here's a streamlined, cinematic, emotionally charged version. Approximately 295 words, true to your structure with an authentic American voice, natural pacing, a dramatic arc, and vivid dialogue. The story flows as a single breathless monologue opening with a strong hook, peaking in conflict, weaving in a side character twist, and ending with a satisfying close and a controversial discussion inviting question. Ever been woken up so early you think you're dreaming until you realize you're smack in the middle of a nightmare you can't even hit snooze on? That was me. 5:15 a.m., jerked out of bed by this gnarly metallic rattling outside my window, like not a raccoon, not a lost Amazon driver, something heavy and real. I peek through the fog, and there's a tow truck rolling down the lakeside road, hazard lights pulsing like some kind of doomsday countdown. My stomach just bottomed out because I already knew what they wanted my boat. My beautiful, not bothering anyone, pride and joy, freedom, floating out there on my dock. Barefoot and half awake, I tore down the stairs, old robe flapping, barely noticing Duke, my golden retriever, doing his best to keep up. I bust through the back door. There's this thick-necked guy, already halfway down my dock, chains in hand, giving freedom that looked like he's here for a trophy. I yell, "Hey, you can't be here. That's my dock." He freezes, looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. But then he flashes a wrinkled work order in my face. "I got HOA orders," he mutters. "Unauthorized vessel." And right then, like some bad magic trick, here comes Margot Ellison, Queen of the Willow Shores. HOA rolling up in her sparkling Mercedes heels, clicking on the gravel like gunshots. She just gives me that look, you know, the look that says she's about to make my whole day miserable and enjoy every minute. "Mr. Miller, we gave you plenty of notice. No oversized boats on residential docks. Community vote. You knew the rules," she chirps, so sure of herself. I try to keep my cool. "You have no say over my dock or this water." None. She's got this little smile, all teeth, like she's already won. "Perhaps you should read the covenants more carefully. The association governs all waterfront aesthetics. Tow it." The big guy shrugs and moves toward freedom again, and then it hits me. The folder. All those late nights with legal pads, Google, and coffee, all those receipts and emails, my lifeline just sitting on the kitchen table. I hold up a finger, 30 seconds, and dash back inside Duke, barking encouragement. I'm tearing through piles of junk mail, snatch the leather folder, and come sprinting back like a man who's got everything to lose. Margot and the tow guy are just staring, but I'm grinning like a madman because I know what's in my hand could actually change the game. "Before anyone touches my boat," I say, waving the documents like a magic wand. "Take a look at these." I hand one to Margot, one to the tow guy, both stamped. Eviction notice in bright red, looking all sorts of official. "This is a legal order served to the Willow Shores HOA telling you you're violating my riparian rights. My uncle secured them back in '79. This dock and the water it sits on, none of it is under your jurisdiction. Margot, today you're the one getting evicted from my lake. Man, if looks could kill." Margot's cool starts to crack. The tow guy suddenly wants to be anywhere but here. Now let me back up a sec. 8 months earlier, none of this was on my radar. I'd just inherited this place from my Uncle Roy, a little slice of paradise, perfect for starting over after 2 decades of burning out in finance. First weeks were bliss, sunrise, coffee, fishing, peace. HOA rules seemed like a joke. Grass height, mailbox color, all that suburban nonsense. Then I bought freedom. Next thing I know, neighbors are peeking, and there's a warning letter in my mailbox saying, "My boat's a violation." I tried reasoning, called the HOA office, got stonewalled by Lisa, who recited bylaws like she was auditioning for a robot uprising. You agreed to all amendments, she says. Fine start tomorrow. I asked about my dock. She just doubles down. The board governs the water. The fine started small but ramped up fast. $150, then raised $300 a day. Letters stacking up like bad lottery tickets. I was furious. But it was a talk with Hank, my next-door neighbor, that changed things. He pulls me aside while I'm getting the mail, voice low, eyes darting. Careful with Margot. Last year she made the Jacksons tear down their gazebo because she didn't like the view. Hank's a guy who's seen it all, and if he's scared, that's saying something. So I start digging county records, old maps, anything that can give me a leg up. That's when I find Uncle Roy's old deed in a weird yellowed addendum. Riparian rights, it says, signed and sealed before Willow Shores even had an HOA. I'm no lawyer, so I find one Kendra Torres, a legal bulldog. She looks it over, grins, says, "You've got them beat." She helps me draft up eviction notices for the HOA, documenting every harassment, every fine. For the first time, I feel hope. Back to that morning on the dock, Margot's flustered neighbors in their pajamas are gathering the tow guys back in a way. "This is preposterous," Margot shrieks, but she knows the tide's turning. "You're not touching my boat. You're not touching my dock. And if I see another letter, it's going straight to my attorney." The tow guy bolts. Margot storms off, swearing it's not over. But you know it never ends there. That afternoon, her husband Simon's slick suit, HOA's attorney, shows up, offers to drop all fines if I'll sign a waterfront authority waiver. I laugh in his face. I'm not trading my rights so Margot can win the next round. He leaves sulking. Next thing, I get a letter from the Colby Lake Environmental Commission. Now Margot's trying to get me on ecological violations, claiming my dock is killing turtles or something. But Kendra's a step ahead, gets the case tossed out for conflict of interest. Guess who's on their board? Margot again. A few days later, the county itself steps in, confirming my deed and slamming the HOA for overreach. Suddenly the letters stop. The fines vanish. And for the first time since I moved in, I can breathe easy. Hank comes over with a six-pack, toasts me, says no one's ever stood up to Margot, and walked away. Turns out word's getting around, folks I've never met before waving at me, stopping to ask how I did it. One older guy, Mr. Benson, the original developer, brings over a leather-bound copy of the community charter, tells me the association was supposed to protect, not bully. By the time the next HOA meeting rolls around, the whole community's in uproar. People sharing stories, fined for swing sets, flower colors, even wind chimes. Margot tries to bluff her way through, but the board caves, rescinds all the waterfront rules for anyone with deeded rights, and 3 members resign right there on the spot. I watch Margot, and she's got nothing left but a weak smile. So here's the part I love most these days. Freedom is still bobbing out there right where she belongs. I added a shiny plaque to her stern red letters just for Margot eviction notice. Every time I see her driving by, I just smile and wave. The neighborhood's different now. People aren't so scared, little acts of rebellion popping up everywhere. Feels like we all got a piece of our lives back. Now I gotta ask you, what would you do if the HOA tried to steamroll your rights? Would you fight, or just roll over and pay the fines? Was I being stubborn, or was it about standing up for what's right? I'd love to hear your stories. Drop a comment. Share your take, because honestly, this is bigger than just one boat or one lake. It's about knowing when to draw a line and say enough's enough.